Nigeria's external reserves had fallen by about $2.8 billion in the first half of this year. The external reserves opened the year at about $37 billion, but have now dropped to about $34.1 billion at the end of June. Arise Business Analyst Chika Mbonu joins me now for more on this slide from our Abuja studios. Chika Mbonu, it's good to see you on the show this morning. Let's hit the ground looking at the FRS plan to collect VAT from the informal sector. What do you make of this plan? Good morning.
The government is looking for revenues, and wherever every crack, every stone is being turned to look for the revenue. Now, the taxation of the informal sector has been a challenge for many geographies, especially in the outside the Western world, where accountabilities, accountings, and records keeping is not very severe, and so it has been an issue on how to collect tax from the informal sector. In some geographies like Ghana, there was a time they introduced the mobile money tax, and they wanted to use to approximate or to chase the taxation of the informal sector. But a lot of people felt it was very regressive because a lot of people in the bottom of the pyramid could not carry that. So it's been a challenge on how to tax the informal sector. And I'm happy that this initiative is working. It's going to work for Nigeria. But before Bidas email, let me put it out there, like saying it the way it is. A lot of us who have been close to the main markets in Nigeria know what's happening there. There are multifarious taxes by different government agencies already, taxing these individuals and this informal sector, especially the market people, the hairdressers, and so on and so forth. If you go to these places, you see how they complain, different agencies and the taxes with different names. Now, there's a moral issue here, and the moral issue here for me is I keep borrowing that definition given by the current governor of, I think I heard it from the current governor of Abia State, His Excellency Alex Oti, when he said in one of his writings that tax represents the share of government in your profit. The share of government in your profit. Put it this way. Typical business makes investments in the business. At the end of the day, there are profits which they give out as dividends to the shareholders. So the shareholders of the business, take the money. But it says tax is government share of that profit. Why? That when the government provides you electricity, power for your business, when the government provides you good roads, when the government provides you good schools, when the government pays arrears of pensions and pays salaries on time so that people can buy your product, when the government carries out its responsibilities, the roads are no potholes so that your trucks are not falling and the transport people are not charging you extra for your goods, you feel happy to give money back to the government because you are seeing what is being done with the money. So tax represents that. But see, in our own country here, what do we see? The citizens are left to do literally everything for themselves. And so people are not eager or looking forward to paying tax. Any trader who has been suffering, paying excess for transportation, using his, power, paying for the small generator and these new petrol prices, and suddenly those things disappear. If you go to that person and say, pay tax, the person will be amenable to paying tax. And so that's why tax was defined that way. So in the whole basket, it's nice to expand revenue. Nigeria has been known to be one of the lowest on GDP, tax revenue to GDP. It has been calculated by MBS and FRSC. I think it says 11% now, from the 6% that we had before, where we were the lowest in the world. So it's 11% now, they say. So our tax revenue to GDP ratio is very low. That it needs for government to expand in the revenue base. But the issue is that moral authority is to be able to continue to tax individuals. Is the government doing anything for the citizens of the country with the money to make sure that citizens are pleasant and happy to pay the tax?
Okay, so the informal sector, when we talk about informal sector in this part of the world, we're talking about the artisans, the the vulcanizer on the roadside, perhaps those who hawk up goods in vehicular traffic, rush hour and all of that. So this is the informal sector in the manner of speaking. So what do you think these folks will be expecting back from the government if the VAT will be collected from them?
Yeah, I just like I explained, I said that, people have to be made happy to pay the tax. The government should be able to say, oh yeah, you see, we had arrears of pension, we paid it off. We're not owing teachers' salaries, as most governors are, are doing. A lot of governors are going to be flush with cash now because of this movement from 450 naira to the 700 naira in the revenue allocation. So, if the citizens of the country see what the government is doing with their money, with the tax, people are more eager to pay it. But if it's the case that the roads are still filled with potholes, I want to go and buy my goods from other markets, the transport people are charging me extra because of that. I need to water. I need to go and get borehole, or pay all these people who carry water in the truck before I can get water. What is government doing for me? Basically, that's what a lot of citizens, especially at the bottom of the pyramid, are asking.
Yes.
For me to go and pay that tax to them.
Yes. Well, the gentleman who is pushing truck to supply water will have to pay VAT the way things are going. That's the way it is. So, okay. But let's talk about the FX market, by the way. Where are we right now with this FX reserves decline? Well, what did we do with this amount of money in the first 6 months? Where did the money go? Show me.
Both in every night you stand up there and analyze the companies. You are talking about the terms of trade of Nigeria. I mean, nothing has changed in our country. Remember that when we did an analysis of the import and export trade for our country, what did we find out? That Nigeria is still very import dependent. And export, what are we exporting? Only oil. We have not expanded the export base. It's still oil and oil derivatives contributing about 90% of our foreign exchange. So there lies our problem. They need to expand our foreign exchange earnings and then, wither down the appetite of the consumption of foreign exchange. Brother, remember what I said? I said this some time ago. I said, with the coming on power of the new government, about out of the how many sworn in, there were about, 16 or 18 new governors. I said that the Toyota dealers in Nigeria will be very happy. And don't be surprised. We saw the other day 52 Prados in the convoy. And that's what's happening to a lot of people. Meanwhile, there are companies in Nigeria that are adding value to motor assembly. Nobody's buying vehicles from them. So if they spend in Nigeria is limited to what we can consume, what we can produce, we conserve a lot of foreign exchange. So you're asking me where the FX went. FX went to fund the voracious appetite of Nigerians who want to import everything, including toothpicks. And all the governors now are buying new Prado cars, new this thing, instead of helping the local manufacturing companies, so that there's some local value added and create employment for Nigerian citizens. So the reserve disappeared in funding our voracious appetite for imported goods. Okay,
so this is a bonanza as we speak right now. Bonanza time for both national and the subnationals in the manner of speaking. So, but again, we need FX. I'm sure we have billions of dollars in backlogs that we haven't been able to pay foreign airlines and a few others. There are a whole lot of guys on the queues, manufacturers in those in invisibles window who need the FX. So, so the supply side conversation is what I want you to give me for a minute or two. What are your thoughts on how do we increase very quickly our FX reserves that will go not just into buying up and rallying up the stock market, but bringing that patient capital in FX into the Nigerian economy space? Talk to me.
Okay, I've spoken about this. I did something called memo to the president. 90% of our foreign exchange come from oil. Hello? We cannot reinvent the wheel now. While we're expanding the non-other oil sources, let us go and get our oil production right. Whatever it takes. Appeasement, negotiation, with the whoever, taking people to face the criminal, the courts and whatever, those who have those extra pipes to, make sure that our oil production goes up to what it should be. Let the president get right our oil production, whatever it takes. Just like President Yar'Adua did when he came into power, and oil production went to above 2 million barrels per day. That is the first thing we need to do. Oil is a major source of foreign exchange. The other things we have to do, of course, we know the exporters of commodities are still facing problems. CBN tried to do something about that, but the bottlenecks are still there. And then, God's gift to us in this country is solid minerals. Solid minerals. But the oil cost, the cost of oil, since 1956, has made us forget that. And we left it for foreigners who have been going there to just take our raw materials and illegal mining and so on and so forth. So a conscious government who is building the future for Nigeria, especially with these debts we're carrying, should actually focus on that sector also, while we are sorting out the problems in oil, while we're sorting out the problem in non-oil export.
All right, thank you so much, Chika Mbonu, our Business Analyst out of Abuja Studios today.